To me, honestly, I don't know so much that they need to move OG Anunoby. I think OG is showing a really like a level of consistency in terms of his shooting and his defense that I feel like he fits really really well and just needs some other players to kind of support. Like Scotty and OG to me as your front court, I think that works really well. I think that works really well. You have two amazingly impactful wing defenders who can both, if you know, I don't buy Scotty Barnes' shooting, but you know, if he was going to shoot like 36 or 37%, who can both spread the floor, both handle it a little bit. Obviously, Scotty's a little more efficient with it and a better assist man. I think that's a really good. I think that's a really good front court to me. So to me, it is Pascal that's the odd man out to me, and I feel like the big move for them is to move Pascal Siakam, and I don't know what you can get back for him, but Scotty OG, and even if you keep Jakob Poeltl, I like that. I kind of like that, and I think that if you can get something back for Pascal, I would say that I have to see them moving him, but I don't know what Masai is gonna do. He's like a madman. Like who knows? Like he just would let guys go walk for free. Like I have no idea what to expect as far as like I don't know if I can put the expectations of a rational a reasonable person on him, but to me that's the clear thing that needs to happen. And then it's obviously working on the backcourt that I think is the issue. I will say Schroeder has been pretty good, and honestly watching Raptors games when I've kind of like popped into various Raptors games, like he's like stood out to me. Actually, he stood out to me as, you know, kind of being what he's always been, very crafty. You know, he's very sneaky. His shooting's been like kind of better than I remember it being on the Lakers. And so like I think he's played admirably as you suggested as well. And I did call it the Scotty and Pascal show, but Schroeder has a reasonable amount of usage and playmaking responsibilities on that team. He's just not gonna be a guy to kind of like take you over the hump or really make a huge impact as far as like winning is concerned. So to me, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what the contract situation is for OG. Are they going to sign him to a big contract? I'm not sure what he would command and what he would want and what he would need to like stay there. But if you could have those two, Scotty and OG and Jakob Poeltl, to me, that's like a pretty good start towards building something. So that's what I'm thinking as far as the Raptors.
Yeah. I mean, OG is over 40% from three this year. Pascal Siakam is shooting 22% from three on 4 attempts a game.
On how many attempts?
4.
Wow. 22% on 4 attempts a game. See, he's just hitting 1 of 4, less than 1 of 4 every game.
Less than 1 of 4. Yeah.
That's not going to cut it.
It's not. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely not. Somehow he still has a 56% true shooting percentage, which is pretty amazing. He's been pretty incredible inside the arc. So, I mean, for comparison, Julius Randle's shooting 28% from three, 6% better than Siakam, and his true shooting is 48%.
That's incredible, actually. What is Pascal shooting at the rim then? Is he like dominating at the rim?
I'd have to find splits. We're gonna do this on the fly.
No, I found it. So he's not even dominating at the rim. He's shooting 66.1% at the rim, which is very good, but it doesn't make up for it. So he's 48. He's shooting about 49% from mid range. He's killing it from mid range this year, which might be part of the problem.
Could be. I mean, even from 3 to 10 feet, he's shooting exactly 50%, or excuse me, 3 to 16 feet when you combine them.
Wow.
So he's shooting 50%. That's pretty ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
I see 72% at the rim.
Huh. That's so interesting. Again, I'm looking at dunks and threes as like my kind of reference point. So there's going to be subtle difference. Normally, very minor differences between some of the sites, but yeah, that's a pretty substantial difference.
Yeah. Listening to you talk, I think I agree with you that I think that they could get a big enough return for Siakam that if they just traded Siakam and had Barnes as like the main cornerstone, but with OG and Pirtle as supporting pieces, I think they'd be in a much better spot. So
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see who shows interest. But like, I don't know, like, Atlanta was a team that was rumored to be interested in Siakam in the offseason. If the Hawks and Raptors did a Murray for Siakam, like, how would you feel about that?
I like that for both parties. That's a really interesting call. Now, Murray for Siakam. I mean, I think I like it a little more for Toronto. I've generally been high on Murray than most other people that I know, and I think that he's performing really well this year, especially offensively, having one of his best offensive seasons, even though he is, not finishing at the rim very well, but he's shooting a lot better than he used to. And his 3-point shooting has improved so much, and I think it's real because his free throw shooting is up. His mid range shooting is up. Like, I think his shooting improvement is real, and he's about like 27, so I think I can expect some of that to stay. And then some of the versatility that Pascal offers, I think, would mesh really well with the team that he'd go to. But I don't know. I could see something like that working. But I think that would be a bigger return than they can actually expect to get for Pascal. I think Pascal being, what'd you say, was 30?
Yeah, 30.
Yeah, I think that's a bigger return than they probably could expect to get for him.
He turns 30 at the end of this season. Sorry, he's 29 right now. But I don't know. I actually think Siakam's viewed higher than Murray right now across the league.
You feel like, so? Maybe
yeah.
I'm just higher on Murray is the thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's being suppressed in Atlanta a little bit just because Trae Young, but I do think that does hurt. Like, I don't think that if you were the Hawks, like, and you were in trade negotiations and the Raptors were like, okay, we'll do something based on Siakam and Murray, we can do something centered around that. And the Hawks were like, well, actually, Murray's way better than we're letting him be. Like, I don't see that working.
Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. I think they might make that argument though, because they might be like, yeah, we're trying to work this thing out with Trae and Dejounte, and it is not like he's gonna be so much better in your environment. Like, I why couldn't they make that argument?
They could. They could. I don't see that flying in NBA circles. That just doesn't seem like, because everybody finds out everything these days. Like, can you imagine if that report was leaked?
Yes,
like the Woj bomb.
Yeah.
Atlanta GM Landry Fields says Murray's actually way better than he is on his, like, come on.
That's hilarious. Yeah, you're right. I mean, but what do you think of the Jalen Johnson and Pascal Siakam fit? That's kind of like the issue for
messy.
me.
I mean, I know what me and you would do.
Yeah, of course. We just play Pascal at the center.
Right.
Right.
I could see
they're
that.
not gonna. I don't know if they're not gonna do that though.
Why? Their defense is already bad enough. Just go all in on offense. That'd be such a sick team. Like,
that
Trae
would
Young,
be sick. I would love that. Yeah.
Trae Young, Bogdanovich, Hunter Bay, Hunter. Like, that's the best spacing they'll ever have.
Yeah.
And again, I always say that Siakam, I just told you he's shooting 22% from 4 threes a game. That's way more detrimental to you from the power forward spot than it is from the center spot.
And Pascal has shot 30 something, like mid 30s in his career. I don't think he's a 22%. He's still taking four threes a game, so clearly he doesn't think he's a 22% 3-point shooter either. So I don't think that's real. I don't think he's a 20 whatever low 20s percentage 3-point shooter. So and I don't know, maybe with more spacing and at the 5 position where guys are not really coming out to him as much, like, he can shoot better than that. So yeah,
and running pick and roll with Trae Young.
Yeah, you're convincing me. so I just don't know if Atlanta is willing to kind of move on from the Capella thing. I think they like Capella and they like that style with Trae, and so that would be the thing to take it over the hill.
Here's the beauty of that. Jalen Johnson is a crazy athlete, like a better athlete than Siakam is.
For sure.
So they could run like horns or double screens, drag screens with both Johnson and Siakam screening, and have Johnson at power forward just be the guy who dives to the rim like they love Capella, and they could emulate what the Trae Young Capella screen and roll with Jalen Johnson. And then they could also, I mean, Siakam, it's not like he can't roll, but him then popping as the center,
Yeah.
like you just said, opposing centers aren't going to want to come out on the perimeter with him. I think that could be a really effective offensive scheme, and they would replicate it just fine.
I mean, I think that's a great point. It could absolutely work and would be super dynamic. But I will say, like, the Hawks are already a ridiculous offense, right? Like, it's not like I could say if their offense was struggling, and you're like, well, look at this option I have for you, and they'd be like, well, yeah, we can definitely do that. Our offense would be amazing. Like, we'd score like, I don't know, 121 points per 100 possessions, and it's like, well, actually, we already are. like they're already the second best offense in the NBA so far. I mean, do I think a lot of that is like real? Yeah, no, I don't think all of that is necessarily real, especially given like, Jalen Johnson shooting and some other things that feel like more kind of blips than trends. But also Trae Young's not shooting that well, so or hasn't.
He's been better. He's been better recently.
He's been better of late. Yeah, of course. So yeah, I could see it working. I think Atlanta would have to be the one to decide that. Again, I don't know. You might be right that teams may see Pascal as more valuable than Dejounte, but to me, like that kind of deal would help Toronto more than it would Atlanta in terms of like the asset exchange.